Okay, you might be able to hear the baby chicken in the background. She is in Grandma's room in her container with the screening over the top so that she doesn't jump out and poop all over my carpet. And Grandma is out here watching the birds, and I am cooking for myself and for you guys. So she just has to entertain herself. But you might be able to hear her. Okay, this one I'm really excited about. This next recipe that I found that I'm only going to barely use as a guideline is ginger peach chicken, okay? And here are the ingredients. 1 pound boneless thighs, 1 cup of peach jam, 1 tablespoon of soy sauce, 1 inch of ginger root grated, and 3 cloves of garlic. Once you freeze it, and you pull it out, you're going to cook it on low from 3 to 6 hours. So in this particular recipe, oh, my tongs are not clean. I'm going to have to grab this chicken with my hand. In this particular recipe, the chicken thighs are mine, and I had a package in the freezer of 2.45 pounds. We're just going to go ahead and use it all and divide it in between 2 meals. Now, I purchased that to make some chicken thigh dishes for Grandma, which she really likes, but I don't even know if I've even gotten chicken thighs once at the food bank in the last year. So they are hard to come by. So when they go on sale, I generally look and see if my budget will, accommodate that, and if it does, I do that. So let's look at, well, I can't bring you down because I'm having to perch this. So I am going to toss 3 chicken thighs into each of these containers, which I'm eventually going to put into a freezer bag. But this is what I have in there so far, and I did this off camera while I was waiting for the microwave. So I put in 1 tablespoon of soy sauce, about 3 teaspoons of ginger. How much ginger did it say? It said 1 inch of ginger root, so that's about right. And I think that's all I put in here, plus the chicken thighs. Now, the recipe called for peach jam. I don't have peach jam. And I am not inclined to buy a jar of peach jam because I want to get these made and in the freezer. That's what's important to me today, okay? Peach jam, great value, I think is like $3.60 something. It's not an arm and a leg, but on a $35 working budget, it is. And we are doing a no spend. Now, I had to run over to my guy down the hall and borrow the last of his soy sauce. He had exactly 2 tablespoons left. So I am going to pick up 2 jars of soy sauce, 1 for me, and I'm going to go ahead and put a full one back in his cupboard rather than mess with, here's your 2 tablespoons back. No, we don't roll like that. Okay, so back to the story. I do not have peach jam, but you know what I have? I have a bunch of rhubarbs. I have a blueberry rhubarb. I have some peach butter. That one I don't think I will use because it has a different seasoning profile than what I want to use, but I do have this and I'm pretty stinking excited about it. I have a jar of my cherry pomegranate jam or jelly, whatever you want to call it. Made it in July. Gave a couple of my jars away. So after I use this, I only have 1 little tiny 1/4 pint or 1/2 pint jar left. A little bit sad. We are going to use half of that in each of this recipe. So what started out as ginger fluffin' peach chicken is now cherry pomegranate chicken. And it's fancy. It's fancy as hell. So let's put half of this in. I know you can't see. I apologize. I just cannot fight with that camera today. Here is the other one. So into each jar, each container, I put in about half a jar, which should equal about a cup. We're going to get all that goodness out. And let's taste it. This is the one I'm dying to cook right away. That is so good. Boys and girls, this completes numbers 2 and 3 of our freezer meals. Here it is. Here's the second one. Let's get them into a baggie. I'll be right back. Ta-da! 2 cherry pomegranate meals for future use. Are you loving it? If you guys are tempted to try this, I want you to tell me in the notes, okay? Or if you try some other version of that based on what kind of jam or jelly you have in your pantry, you let me know, because honestly, I think anything will work. Of fluffy flying around the room just now. For those of you with sensitive ears, I did it for you. Okay, let's look at this recipe. This recipe is called creamy chicken penne, and it calls for 1 pound of chicken. You can see that right there. And then it calls for a can of diced tomatoes, 2 cups of spinach, 2 cups of heavy cream, 1 pound of penne, tablespoon of garlic, a tablespoon of oil, 10 ounces of chicken broth, and 1 teaspoon of basil. Okay, let's see what we got. So, a can of diced tomatoes. So this chicken is Food Bank chicken for this recipe, okay? Also is this can of Kirkland diced tomatoes. So let's add that. I wish I could show you. You guys are in the cheap seats. This is not gourmet television. I am not Julia. I am not anybody on a cooking show. I'm the girl down the street who burns her toast. Okay? 1 can of diced tomatoes and 2 cups of spinach. Now, it does not say to leave the spinach until the last of the cooking, but that is what I am going to do. So I have some spinach here that I got from the food bank, and it was in the freezer, and I am going to use it all up. So this is going to be a heavily spinached dish. One of these is going to go in my other thing. So I think that I am going to put this in the freezer bag by itself, and I'm going to add it the last half hour of the cooking. I don't want this to cook all day. It'll just, I think, fall apart and not be lovely. So, chicken penne. Let's see what we got. 2 cups of heavy cream. Now, believe it or not, this heavy cream was a food bank item. I nearly lost, you know what I'm going to say, my ever-loving mind. And we are going to use it today in 2 recipes. So it calls for 2 cups. So that is going to be half of this heavy whipped cream. All right. I'll have to drink my coffee with, oh, it's been frozen. So let me get that out of there. Okay. I did get that half and half into the container. Wasn't the tidiest of jobs, but girl got it done. Now, this recipe is calling for a few more ingredients, and we can take care of that. The first thing it's calling for is a tablespoon of garlic. So let's do it. We'll add a nice big fat tablespoon. And then it's going to call for a little oil, a tablespoon of oil. I'm just going to use my olive oil. I think that would be good. I'm just going to pour in what looks like a tablespoon. There we go. And then it's going to call for 10 ounces of chicken broth. And I have tons of chicken broth in my pantry, but I am not going to go dig it out for a half a jar because I don't think there's anything else today that I am cooking with chicken broth. So we're going to add about 10 ounces of water. And then I'm going to use, I hope I have it, yep. we're going to use, if not, I have a backup jar in my pantry, so I always try to keep this on hand. We're just going to add about a tablespoon of this good stuff, and this is mine, okay? And that'll be perfectly delicious in here. It's not going to be any problem. It's going to be super yummy. And I did not have any basil. That's okay. I wonder if I have any dried basil. Hold on, because I did have basil in my garden. I just can't remember if I dried some. Let me check. Okay, no basil, but we are not going to cry our eyes out. We're going to modify, because this is going to be delicious, right? When we eat this, we're not going to say, oh, fluffy. This doesn't taste right. This needed a tablespoon of basil. You know what? It doesn't need a tablespoon of basil. I'll tell you what it's getting. It's getting, is it a tablespoon? A teaspoon. Okay. It's getting whatever I put in of this Italian seasoning, which is oregano, marjoram, thyme, basil, and parsley flakes. And you know what? I'm not going to overpower it. Just going to put a little bit in there. And we're done. So I'm going to go ahead and stir this up in the container, and then I'm going to add it to its bag, and that's what we're going to do. Now, another thing I like to do, well, I think I like to do it because this is the first time I've made freezer meals in 100 years, is I like to make sure that I have the other ingredients set aside in my pantry so I don't inadvertently use something that I had on hand when I decided to do this and then use it for something else and then make this and not have what I have. So I have set aside 2 things of spaghetti for some other dishes. I think the chicken lime peanut. So, and I'm also, why am I holding this up? I am also going to set aside, I didn't have any penne. I had tiny baby penne, but I think that's too tiny to be what this needs. So I'm going to go ahead and set aside this box with those other items away from what I pull from so that I know that I have it for this. Did that make sense? Okay, let's get this in a bag, and then I will show you how I'm going to do get that spinach in there without making a mess. Okay, the first thing I did was I put my creamy chicken penne in a Ziploc bag and sealed it. And then I'm going to take that bag and I'm going to put it inside a bag that I labeled chicken penne. So now it looks something like this. And to that, I'm going to add these 2 frozen bags of spinach. And then on the day that I make it, I'll throw that spinach, I'll keep that spinach in the freezer, and a half hour before this dish is done, I will add that spinach to the meal. And it will be, I think, delicious. And if it's not, oh well, baby, it is what's for dinner. So there it is, our creamy chicken penne. Let me put that in the refrigerator. And let's look at the second dish. Let me clean up my mess just a tiny bit. I just have a little bit of that fluffy, heavy cream on my counter. There is a part of me that is a little sad and thinks, gosh, Deanna, you would have loved that heavy cream in your coffee. You would have. I would have. Let's tell no lies, all right? The little part of me that is selfish and greedy wanted that for my coffee. The other part of me that appears to have won out today wants to be able to feed my family something yummy that hasn't been on the rotation ever before because I've never made it before. They might be getting sick of the things that I make every week. Spaghetti. You guys know it. Spaghetti. You know, I think they'll enjoy it. I think I'll enjoy it. And I think maybe it's not selfish because for myself, I don't have to cook it from scratch on that day. Today I have time to do this, all right? I have been planning for this. I have been setting chicken aside for a few weeks because I knew that I was going to do something like this, and today is the day. I got to open a window. Whew, it is stinking hot. Okay, we have finished that chicken dish and put it in the refrigerator. I gotta open this window. It is hot. It's like going through the change. Only I went through the change 100 years ago, so it's just hot in my kitchen. So let's fix that. There we go. Okay, let's take a look at this next recipe. And again, how many of you guys, I don't know what the name of their channel is. I think it's called Freezer Meals 101. And it's two absolutely beautiful and funny Canadian women. I think one's name is Krista or Christy or Christine. And the other one's name, I think, is Charla. She's about this big. And the other one is beautifully tall. They're both adorable. I love them. And I did look through a lot of their recipes and just kind of got some ideas about what I might do in the future. But the thing that I picked up from them this time is when you do your freezer meals. Now they do like 150 at a time. I'm trying to do 8. Okay? Big difference between them and me. She said use like ingredients. Use things that have similar ingredients and it goes by a lot faster. And that is true. We're doing all chicken dishes today. Okay, with that in mind, let's look at the next one. The next one is going to be spinach alfredo. And it starts out with 2 chicken breasts and 2 cups of heavy cream, which we've got in here. The spinach, I'm going to do the same thing with this one that I did with the one just before. This one we're going to add 1 cup of Parmesan. Now I ran the last of my big chunk of Parmesan through my food processor today. Here it is. So let's just dump that in. And then I also have probably 2 cups grated in the refrigerator now for future use. I think I'll throw it in the freezer though because I'm not sure how fast we'll use it. And once it's grated, I think that it, you know, expires a little bit faster. So there's that. And then it's going to call for garlic, salt, and parsley. So let's do the garlic. The garlic that I painstakingly hand peeled for you guys. There we go. And then we're going to add 1/2 teaspoon of salt and 1 teaspoon of parsley. Let me grab that. Here's the parsley. And here is the salt. Grandma, you still doing good, honey?
I'm doing good. I'm watching this chicken problem out here.
I can never get her back in for her nap if the chickens are right there by the door. And I think, Grandma, did your squirrel come up and eat a peanut butter oatmeal ball?
Peanut butter oatmeal ball is gone. I do not know who got it for sure.
Probably Gordita, big fat squirrel. Okay, here's the salt. And here is the parsley with one of those lovely little For the love of God, I am willing to take my chances that someone might contaminate a jar of dried parsley. I am. I'm willing to take my chances. All right, we got bigger problems in this country than that. So we're going to add a teaspoon of parsley. There we go. And it says to serve this over fettuccine noodles, and you're going to cook on low 6 to 8 hours. Now that looks good, right? But we're going to do one more little thing because, like I said, these I just, you know, looked at a couple different recipes, decided how I could make it work for my family, what we like, and we're going to add something to this. 2 things actually. Just cleaning this off. Okay, so I am going to add a pinch of the red pepper flakes. Now I'm only going to do it mild again because Grandma has to eat a little bit less spicy than Addie and I. And we can always add a pinch to what's on our plate. And then I'm going to grab my sun-dried tomatoes. Hold on. And I am going to add just a couple spoons of the sun-dried tomatoes. And I think that will be delicious. And you know what I'm going to say next? If it's not, too bad. That's what you're getting for dinner. You eat it. You think about all those starving children all over the world, and you eat what you have. Or you think about people in this country who don't have access to a food bank, and you eat what's in front of you. Okay? All right, here we go. Now, this recipe that I kind of used as a very, very loose guideline, call this recipe chicken alfredo or spinach alfredo or something along that line. And if you had a jar of alfredo cream sauce in your pantry, you could use that in place of the heavy cream and the Parmesan. It just so happens that I had the heavy cream and that's what I wanted to use. So we are now going to transfer, not to this one, to a plain bag, this mix. And it is super easy to transfer. You don't have to be fancy, people. You know, you watch those shows and they have the great bag holders, and those are lovely, and someday I'll probably get some, but not today. But what you have will work. This is all I'm doing. Sticking my bag inside, my container halfway inside the bag, dumping it out, wiping the slop on my backside, getting all the air out, sealing it, just like that. I'm going to put that, here it is, right there. I'm going to put that in my spinach alfredo bag, and you guessed it, we are going to add our baggie of frozen spinach, so we can add that a little later in the cooking. Okay, now let me clean up my area and see what ingredients I have left to work with, and we will see how close I am to being done, or maybe I am done. I think there's maybe one or two other things I might be able to make. I think I might just make one thing because I've got some stuff in the freezer that I need to use up that'll work for this. I'll be back. This on. There we go. Okay, again, talking to a camera that isn't working. Okay, the next recipe that we're going to make is chicken fajitas. And because the camera wasn't working, you missed a little bit. Each recipe calls for 2 pounds of chicken. I am not going to do 2 pounds of chicken, okay? Grandma Addie and I are fine with 1 big piece of chicken, and I tossed in some red onion. I have 2 of those containers. All right, the chicken is a food bank item. The red onion is mine. I'm also going to add a bunch of sliced peppers that I did way back when I was able to go to the well. Now, if you're local to, the Granite Falls area, you may know that the well is no longer able to provide services anymore. That beautiful little Russian, Ukrainian church, I don't know what it was for sure, they took a lot of threats and vandalism because they were providing food to immigrants. I do not have the words for that. There are no words appropriate for people who have a problem with immigrants getting food. Okay? Don't get me started, because YouTube will kick me right off this channel. Right the fluffy off this channel. All right? You just look at your own family tree, people. Go back 3, 4, 5 generations, you've got immigrants in your family, unless you are Native American. Okay? So don't you do it. Don't you do it. Anyway, they are not providing their services anymore, and they will be greatly missed. I loved them. They were by donation, but if you did not have a donation, they would still give you food. all right? They were absolutely lovely. Addie and I adored them. My husband is an immigrant. He is Palestinian. He's lived in this country for almost 50 years. He's a citizen. So, don't you start with me. Okay, so we're gonna add a couple handfuls of these gorgeous peppers. And I remember the day that I had to slice these peppers up, and it was not a lot of fun. I had a lot of these peppers, and I diced a bunch of them. Here, we're going to use a lot because these are going to cook down, and we want this to be really, really good. There we go. I'll put this much back into the freezer, and I think I'll pop them into my freezer right up here and then use them when I make egg dishes and get through them that way. Now, this recipe called for tons of spices, okay? And you know what? I'm feeling a little lazy, so we're not going to do that. No, we're not. What we are going to do is we are going to add a little bit of olive oil to this mixture, just a tablespoon or two. There we go. Just a tablespoon or two. And then, can any of you guys guess what we're going to do instead of those spices? Measure this and measure that, 100 of them. Some of them I don't have. Yeah. How many of you guessed, use what you got? This is what I got. This is what we're going to use. So I am just going to put 1 packet of taco seasoning into each container, and it will be perfect. I almost always have flour tortillas and corn tortillas in my refrigerator. As that's something that is in the refrigerator or the freezer, I'm not going to be able to set it aside, but I know that it's there and I will use it. And let me double check. Let's make sure this is everything. Fajitas, 2 pounds of chicken. Actually, it called for a can of diced tomatoes and some lime, so I missed those 2 things. So let me go grab that, some lime and some diced tomatoes. You know what? I am not going to use diced tomatoes. I have something better. Hold on. Let's use these little cherry tomatoes that I dried a couple weeks ago. And those can just cook into our sauce and be beautiful. So I just divided what I had between those 2 containers because it is, after all, the pantry challenge. Now, let me go get, well, I don't have to go get tomatoes now because I did that. I just need to add some lime. So I'm going to add about, I don't know, 1/4 cup of lime to each container. That looks good, and that looks good. And let me make sure it doesn't need anything else. Okay, let's read it again. Chicken, got it. We put tomatoes in, got it. Lime, bell peppers, red onion, got it. Calls for 8 ounces of cream cheese. Let me go get my cream cheese. I think it's right here in the refrigerator. All right, my directions said to do something entirely different, and it's too late for me to undo it. It wanted me to put my peppers and my onions in a different section and add them halfway through the cooking time, but we're not going to do that because it's already done. And it looks like the cream cheese cooks from the very beginning, and I don't want to do that. So I'm going to double bag these. I'm going to put the cream cheese in separately, and I will add this 3 to 4 hours into this dish. So this is what my container looks like. I'm going to go ahead and transfer it into a bag, and then I have 1 more package of chicken. I can make 1 or 2 additional meals. So let's get it done. We're already here. I'll be back. Okay, I changed my mind. When I got ready to bag this, I really do think it does need the diced tomatoes. It's going to be in the crock pot for a while, and I think it needs that liquid. So we're just going to go ahead and add a can of diced tomatoes to each one of these recipes. These diced tomatoes, both cans, I got from the Food Bank. My garbage is overflowing, so now when I throw stuff in the garbage, it just falls to the floor. Turns around and gives me the bird. Says some naughty language. Okay, I'll clean it up in a few minutes. When I'm all done cooking, I will clean my kitchen not a minute before. Okay, here we go. We're gonna get this in a bag. You don't have to be fancy, people. You don't have to have everything you see on TV. Just take your container, dump it into the bag. Easy enough to do. Then throw it over to the sink. Gonna get all the air out, just like that. And then we're going to put it in a bag that I have labeled and thrown on the floor. Chicken fajita. We're going to stick that bag inside of here. And we're going to throw in a package of the cream cheese. We're going to try to get all that air out again. Seal it up. Doesn't want to seal. There it is. Now it wants to seal. Okay, there it is. So let me do the other one. Let me clean up my counter and we'll do one last chicken dish. Maybe two. We'll see. Okay. I have been swearing for a year and a half like you don't even know. Okay? All right. Because every time I go to open a can with my rickety little thing, it gets 2 inches and then it won't go any further. And so I threw, for lack of a better word, a bloody ass tantrum about 2 weeks ago in the kitchen to my husband about this dog is not going to fluffy hunt any longer. And I think I took that can opener and chucked it deep into the backyard just to make sure that everybody understood that I was not happy. Okay, now I have to open up 2 cans of pineapple and I don't have that ratty ass little can opener. Nor am I gonna go out and find it because my husband got me this. This is a game changer. I will try to locate this on Amazon and give you the information because look down here. I did fix this with the camera so we can look down here now. Here we go. Look at this. You snap it on and see this? This is all you do. Ta-da! Done. Did you guys hear any swearing? You did not. The angels above might be singing hallelujah, the girl controlled her mouth. Okay, this, oh my God. I want to be buried with this, okay? I want to be buried with this. I'm going to stick it in my will. And then I'm going to be really nice to my husband for a day or 2, okay? Well, please. As nice as I can be. Let's talk about these chicken fajitas. I did a few things while my chicken was having to thaw a little bit, and so let's talk about it. I took those red peppers that I had left and I chopped them roughly into like 2-inch pieces, okay? I added the chicken, I added the brown sugar, I added the garlic. Here's the other one. Then it called for a red onion, which I don't have. Are we going to shed any tears? No, we're not. Because all we're interested in is the flavor. So we are going to use a bag of my chopped onions, and these came from the food bank. Now, when we talk about this dish, this chicken was from the food bank. The peppers were from the food bank. The brown sugar, I'm pretty sure, was mine. These onions are food bank. So we're going to put half into each container. And then this pineapple was food bank, and it says to add it all with its juice. So that's what we're going to do, just like that. And I needed 2 tablespoons per recipe, and I only had 1 tablespoon per recipe. So I will put a note on this that says add additional soy sauce, okay? So we're not going to worry about that. 2/3 cup of distilled vinegar. Calls for white vinegar, which is what I have. I also have apple cider, and I prefer apple cider, but for now we're going to use this. 2/3 of a cup. There we go. And I think I'm doing about a half. A little bit less than what it calls for. Okay, let's check and make sure we got everything. Hawaiian chicken. Chicken, yes. Chopped peppers, yes. Pineapple chunks, yes. All right, so I was looking at the wrong recipe when I added the onion, but we can live with that, okay? All right, a cup of brown sugar, yes. 2/3 cup of white vinegar, soy sauce, and that's it. Okay, let's get this into a bag, all right? And then I've got one more thing to show you, and then we are done. So I don't know how many meals we made. I lost track, but I'll count them up and show you all the meals before I take them into the freezer. All right, here we go. Okay, that was me eating cashews, but I also took a handful to Grandma. It's a nice source of protein. She's going to take a nap probably in the next half hour or so, and that's going to be good. I'm cleaning off my counter so I can show you everything that we got done today. And Grandma and I were kind of laughing. I was asking her if she had a good time and if she enjoyed the live taping of the Food Bank Beautiful Show. She said she did. And then we both started laughing hilariously, because what was really enjoyable about the show that you will never see is all of the things I had to edit out. Oh, but I had a good time. Yes, I did. I hope you guys did too. I hope you don't mind a girl with a potty mouth. And if you do, there are tons of other lovely women out there who do not use foul language on camera or even let you know that they know those words. Okay? So if it is offensive to you, you know, go down the road, find something that doesn't offend you, and be happy. Okay? Now, none of you have ever done this, but if one of you wants to leave a comment about my filthy language, you just go right ahead. All right, let me clean up my counter. We'll come back, we'll look at everything we made, and then I'll put it away. Then I'm going to sit down and take a break, and then I'm going to come back and clean my kitchen. And I am feeling super good about myself today, and probably because I'm eating these cashews. And I found that can opener. All right, let me clean up.
Smile.
All right, this chicken will not be in the same room without me. I left her sitting right here on her little stand, and I had to run back to the back of the house to the pantry, and I wasn't out there 30 seconds, and here she comes running down the hall at full speed to find me. And of course she did, and now she's sitting right there. So I apologize for anything that she may or may not do on camera, okay? I have washed my hands, so I'm going to try really hard not to touch the chicken while I'm dealing with this, and let's get this done. We are going to make a freezer meal called Salsa Verde chicken, and there are only 5 ingredients. And so let me write on this bag what we're going to use. Can I find my pen? No, why would I be able to find it when I want it? Poor Grandma. She wants to talk to me and I want to film. Okay, I've had some trauma in the kitchen today. I am not going to lie. So, I have put everything for my freezer meal into the container already, and you may or may not get to see that. It depends on if I can edit out the level of swearing that was flying around this kitchen 15 seconds ago. In my container, I have 2 chicken breasts, 2 chicken breasts, 1 can of black beans, and 1 can of my homemade salsa verde. I am going to dump this into my freezer bag. Now, I tried to do that a minute ago, and it was not, that's where I made a huge mess. So, you learn from life's lessons, right? I am going to reach in to this and dig out my chicken breasts, okay? My hands are clean. I'm just going to pull those out because that's what made the mess. And I'm just going to toss them in there. Next time, of course, next time, even if I'm doing it for you guys, I'll just put the chicken breast in the bag ahead. Now, this part is easy. You just take your container, you stick it in the bag, just like that. You get it mostly in there, and then you dump it out, and look, no mess. No mess whatsoever when you take those chicken breasts out first. This is one of life's teachable, fluffy moments. I don't want to be taught today. I have a lot of things to do. All right. I am not going to tell a lie. The F word, and not the fluffy word, the word, has been flying around this kitchen. And if we look up, we can see them still floating up here. Okay? For whatever reason, I am having multiple challenges this morning, and because I have 0 reserves, I am not able to deal with it appropriately like an adult. So I am tantruming in my own kitchen like a 3-year-old. Okay? Those days happen. Now, I don't know if I'm going to have the patience to edit out all of that stuff and give you kind of an overview of what has gone on this morning, or if I'm just going to show you the finished product. And I feel like at this point, halas, you are just going to see the finished product. So in case I don't show you everything, let me tell you in a nutshell. I'm making 2 freezer meals. Chicken salsa verde, green salsa verde, okay? And I had done that. And it has been an ever big challenge. First of all, I'm having problems with my camera stand, and it won't hold my camera where I need it. And that is killing me. All right, so I dumped into this bag, in case you don't get to see all the footage, 2 pounds of chicken, 1 can of rinsed black beans, and 1 can of homemade salsa. Okay, salsa verde. In this bag, it's already in a separate bag. I'm going to put it into a clean bag that is labeled because I want to cook 2 things separate from this. This is going to go in the crock pot for 4 to 6 hours, and I don't want some things in there that long. So I am adding about a cup, maybe a little bit more of corn, and I am adding the cream cheese packet, okay? Now I'm going to seal that bag, and this is going to go into the freezer, and we have 2 bags, 1 and 2. All right, I'm going to go put those in the freezer, and on a day where I've got no reserves, which appears to be today, we're going to have a freezer meal. I've already got a freezer meal in the canner right now. So, Grandma suggested that I sit down and take a lovely couple of breaths and see if I can redeem my evil self. Now, I hate to admit, but when Grandma's right, she's right. Okay? I'm going to sit down, have something to drink. Do I have alcohol in the house? No, I do not. What a shame. And it's only, what time is it? Oh, it's 11:30. That's a little too early for booze anyway. All right, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to catch my breath, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to do one of the multiple jobs that I have to do in my kitchen today. I need to do a lot of things. All right, I'll be back. Okay, it is about 5:30 and we are having supper. And if you saw my episode of the Three Rivers Challenge days 6 through 9, you know that I failed. I just had so much going on, I could not tape every day. But let's take a look at dinner because, ooh, it's not a leftover. Here we go. Here I have our bowls. This green one is it's called creamy chicken penne, and it was a freezer meal that I made a day or two ago. We tried it today. It is delicious. Addie is having his over rice. Grandma and I are having ours over pasta. Addie is not drinking anything, but Grandma and I are sharing this Jones cane sugar soda. Rock and roll, baby. Berry lemonade soda. We're drinking half. So let me get everybody some silverware. Nobody ate. Oh, I ate a half a sandwich today. I think that's going to be in there. And Grandma didn't eat anything. And I don't know if Addie ate any lunch at all. I'm not sure what Addie ate today, to tell you the truth. We're kind of on different schedules, so I don't always see what he eats. And I'm not going to pester him to find out. Okay, day 10. Whew, back in the good graces. I'll see you tomorrow. Good morning, everybody. This is Deanna with Food Bank Beautiful. And though I'm dressed like it's summertime, it is not. It's about 43, 44 degrees outside. It's not too bad. It's a little overcast, but nothing frightening. Grandma is sitting right over here this morning. She is eating waffles. Oh, she's waving. You want to say hello, Grandma?
Hello.
Let him know you're alive and breathing and I didn't lock you in the dungeon today.
Aha.
But let me tell you, the day is early. So if that little Baba Yaga gives me grief, boom, boom, into the dungeon she goes. You guys know I'm joking. Okay, so I am going to make some freezer crock pot meals. And I just need them. There are too many days where I am either too exhausted or I just, cannot cook a nice dinner. So I'm going to try. All of these recipes are new to me. And while I did some research, I just sort of, took a little bit from one recipe and a little bit from the next. And then I thought, oh, I'm going to add this and I'm going to take that out. So they're kind of a compilation of many things. So when you see me say I'm going to make blah, 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 you just get on your hot little phones and you look for a recipe that has everything in your pantry and you make it. Or you make a recipe after you look at it that matches, what you have in your head and do it, okay? You know that unfortunately I just don't have the time to post all of the ingredients, but I will read them out loud when I make these dishes. Now, I am going to make something called a peanut lime chicken. I'm sorry, peanut lime chicken. I forgot that it had chicken in it, and that's funny because I just cut that chicken up. Chop, 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 chop into cubes. Okay, so we are going to do that twice. One for the crock pot for tonight and one to go into the freezer. So here is my crock pot. And I'm not going to show you because my phone is perilously perched on a couple of things to keep it at the right height. So the first thing that we're going to do is now it says per recipe 2 pounds of chicken breast, and we are not going to do that. We don't need that much chicken, okay? No. So we are going to divide that into half. Now, this recipe calls for, let me read it to you. 2 pounds of chicken, 1/4 cup of peanut butter, 1/4 cup of lime juice, 3 cloves of garlic, and then your starch is whatever you want it to be, rice or noodles. It does not go into the freezer bag. 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, 1 teaspoon of cilantro, 1/4 teaspoon of ginger, and 1/2 teaspoon of pepper flakes. You pull it out of the freezer the night before and you cook it on low 6 to 8 hours, and about 20-30 minutes before you think you're going to serve it, you put your pasta or your rice ready to cook, and you can use anything that you have. Okay, you go into that pantry and you see what you have. I have a lot of rice mixes that you and I made a month or two ago, and we've been working our way through them. So I certainly could have put it on a chicken flavored rice and it would have been delicious. But I also have some spaghetti. So let's take a look at how much of this is a food bank item. The chicken for this recipe was Food Bank, as was the peanut butter. The lime and the garlic are mine. The noodles that I'm going to use were Food Bank. Soy sauce is mine. Cilantro I don't have, and I'm not big for cilantro, so I don't care, but I left that in there in case you guys want to add it. The ginger was a Food Bank item. The pepper flakes are mine. So a little combination of, you know, what's there. All right, let's do it. I got to figure out what's going to hold this bag though. All right. I don't have one of those fancy freezer meal bag holders, and that's okay because I am not fancy. But let's get this done. Let's get it done. And right now, the only clean measuring utensil I have is a 1 cup measuring cup, so I'm just gonna wing it. We're just gonna do it. I'm gonna force feed my family. The reason why I'm making this peanut one tonight is because if Addie and Grandma don't care for it, I've got some frozen pizza in the refrigerator left over from yesterday. So they have an off-ramp. They have an exit. But you and I, we're going to gobble it like it's our last meal, hopefully. Or maybe it'll be so bad it will be our last meal. We don't know. All right, first of all, let's pull out the chicken that I cubed up this morning. And I have already washed my hands. Everything looks like, what is that? Oh, that is from my blood draw yesterday. I was going, am I already dirty? That's from a blood draw yesterday. Okay, so we're gonna add, I have 2 pounds of chicken here that's cubed, and we're gonna do half in the crock pot. And again, I'm not gonna swing that camera around because I'll never get it back in position. And then you guys will hear all kinds of swearing, which I know you love. That fluffy camera. Let's just start off right. I can't even swing it down. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to add this chicken into my bag that is already labeled. There's step number 1. Lovey, can you get me another roll of paper towels? This one is propping up my camera and my hands are going to get icky. So we're going to do 1/4 of a cup of lime juice, and that's what it's calling for, not even fresh limes. Hooty hooty. I have that. I buy this because I make Grandma key lime pies or lime pies. I don't know if they're exactly key limes, but I do it a couple times a year. Just set it down there, babe. I'll grab it. Okay, 1/4 cup of lime juice and 1/4 cup of lime juice. Okay, ooh, that already smells good. Now, would you believe that I went to my pantry 3 times and forgot the peanut butter? So let me go grab that. All right, and back from the deep with a jar of Jiffy Creamy Peanut Butter. And that is, if you see me looking down here, it's because I have all of this on my computer and I'm just going to look at it. So it's going to call for 1/4 a cup of peanut butter. So let's go ahead and get that in there. And I'm not going to mess up my one. Oh, that's so tough. You know what? I am past the age where I appreciate these little, I don't know, safety protection lids. I can't get them off. I'm old. I don't have the hand strength. And every time I try to do it, foul language spews out of my mouth. Okay, 1/4 of a cup. I'm just going to pop it into the crock pot. And I'm sorry you guys can't see this morning, but you get the idea. Okay, there's 1/4 of a cup. And here is about 1/4 of a cup. Okay. All right, the next thing it's going to call for is 3 cloves of garlic. And you guys know that your girl doesn't mess around with garlic. I can't stand to peel garlic. I don't even have any real garlic in the house at the moment. If my husband wants to, help me peel garlic when I have it, great, but I'm not doing it. Okay, so 3 cloves of garlic. So we're going to call that about 3 cloves. Into the bag. Boom, boom. 3 cloves into the crock pot. There we go. Now we're going to add 2 tablespoons of soy sauce to each package. And I don't have very much, so I might have to, I thought I had another one in the pantry, but I don't. Okay, 2 tablespoons there. And 2 tablespoons here, and I think that's about the last of my soy sauce. So there might be a recipe I won't be able to make today, but we'll see if we can make a different one. Okay, cilantro I'm not going to put in, and it's calling for ginger, and this is what I have, so this is what we're going to use. That soy sauce was mine. This ginger is from the Food Bank, and I'm just going to give it a nice pinch of ginger because I love ginger.
Yeah.
Grandma says yuck, but she eats everything that I put ginger in, so. Shashi la boca, Grandma, shashi la boca. She's laughing. Grandma, is your waffle okay or is it not okay this morning?
It's fine.
Okay. Looks like you're not eating very much of it and I don't want you to be hungry. But if you're hungry, I'm going to give you a protein drink because I'm busy.
Okay.
So you decide the lesser of 2 evils, your waffle or the protein drink. A pinch of red pepper flakes. Now, Addie and I like our food hot and spicy. Grandma likes hers a little bit milder. So I'm only going to put a tiny bit in. Addie and I can always doctor ours up. Now, let's make sure we have everything. Okay? Chicken, yes. Peanut butter, yes. Lime juice and garlic, yes. Soy sauce, ginger, and pepper flakes. We are good to go. All right, so let's put the lid. I'm going to stir it. Let me come back. I'm going to stir that up and put the lid on, and then I'm going to get this bag ready to go. And I might change from gallon-size bags to quart-size bags because there's only 3 of us, and I think that any of these meals placed in a quart-size bag is enough to feed us for a meal and might even provide us with 1 or 2 servings of leftovers. So I'm going to modify after this. I'll be right back. All right, now I know you guys, you watch as many freezer meal stuff on Facebook as I do, and so you know the drill. You want to mushy your stuff around and get it pretty well mixed up, and then you want to make sure that you get as much of the air out as possible, and I'd say we did pretty good on that. And then we also went ahead and wrote on the bag, but I have a spreadsheet on my computer which tells me exactly what I need to do, and so I am not worried about whether or not I know what to do, because I can see I've already wiped some of that off, so I think I'll just skip that because it's right here. Okay? All right, I'll be back. Now, I am just going to stick this in the refrigerator for the time that I'm making the meals, and then I will stick them on a cookie sheet and freeze them all at once. So here we go. 1 for dinner tonight and 1 to go in the freezer. We're rocking it, people.